So number 19, I'm going to go ahead and set that a little closer so the camera can pick it up there. But I'm going to go ahead and draw that full scale. So what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to, with my isometric, start off at the corner here. And if I go over 2 blocks, up 1 block, that's about a 30-degree angle. So that's a decent idea for you to go ahead and work with when you're setting your 30s. I'm going to start off just sketching my angle going off for my depth. I'm going to sketch my angle going off for my width. And right now I'm not too concerned about the length of these lines, because they're just starting the sketch. Now I can look over at my drawing and see that the width is 3.5 centimeters. So once again I can lay my ruler on there, and I'm going to set it so my bottom corner is at the 3.5 centimeters mark going along my line, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little tick mark there to tell me that that is where my width is going to end up being. I can set my depth while I'm at it as well. It tells me that that's 2 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and set my depth at 2 centimeters and set my tick mark. So before, when we sketched, we didn't have actual sizes. Now we're actually going ahead and setting the sizes correct. I'm going to go ahead and draw this straight up. I could use a ruler if I wanted to. That way I get nice straight lines. I suppose since I'm trying to make it look correct, I should be doing a ruler on all things. And once again, this is the sketch line, so I'm not concerned about how far they go. I'll darken in the object later. So on the far back right side, it tells me that the height is 5 centimeters. So this line that I just drew up, I'm going to measure the 5 centimeters from where it crossed my 30-degree angled line. And I'm going to put a tick mark there. Notice I'm not going to the end of the ruler, I'm going to the 0. The 0 is not at the end of the ruler. So right there's my height. I can also go ahead and draw this front corner up here. Now this front corner, remember, does not go all the way up. It only goes up a little ways. If we look over here, it tells us that's 2 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as well. Now I could create the box it falls in if that's what you're more comfortable with. To do that, I would have just shot this one down, shot it over, and then created the top to that box. I'm drawing each line individual, which is fine as well. I'm going to go ahead and draw this back at the 30, approximately. And I'm going to draw it back this way, approximately at a 30. If I can get it lined up decently. Okay, so I'm starting to see that bottom block that I'm dealing with. Now, halfway back is where I'm going to go ahead and have that block standing up. So we find that out by looking over here. It says this is a depth of 1 centimeter. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to measure that 1 centimeter right down here. And I'm going to go ahead and shoot that straight up. Right like that. And I could go ahead and project this one down. Once again at a parallel angle. That looks pretty close, and we can start to see that shape starting to form. I'm going to start darkening that before I start losing lines here. Like I said, the big difference is always before we didn't have measurements. Now we are actually measuring it, making sure it's all correct. So I can go ahead, and now I've got another box setting over here. The width on that box is 1 centimeter. In our drawing, we can see that the total width of the object is 3.5. The distance over to it is 2.5. So I can go ahead and deal with that over here. I'm going to mark it right on this line. This line should ideally, if I drew everything right, be 3.5, which it is. So I'm going to come over 2.5, and right there's where that box is going to come up for us. It's also going to go back there. I'm going to draw a few more lines in here. So from this corner, let's see, if I go over 1, 2, up 1, I'm going to make a point so that I can make sure to draw through that point when I draw my angled line. And then this one should go over 1, 2, up 1. That way I've got a line for that as well. So that's where that bottom flat surface is going to be that we see right there in the drawing. I could darken all that in, otherwise with all the lines, once again, it's going to start getting pretty confusing. If we want to be real exact, we could actually use a protractor to get our 30-degree angle. For this, I'm looking more for the measurements to be exact. And I'm going to go ahead and draw up here for that box that sets up on top. And I'll draw this one up for the box as well. The height on that box is 1 centimeter. Once again, I could draw it with a ruler, or I can sketch it in. Right there is going to be the top of that box. I'm going to shoot that back at a 30 as well. Once again, I could draw that in or sketch it in. Either way is going to be fine for that. And I could start darkening that in. So right there's that block that sits on the back. Now I've got to have the top to that box, so once again I could draw these in or I could sketch them in. I'm going to sketch them in just for the sake of time. It's going to be close enough because I already have all the other measurements there. Then I should be able to go ahead and shoot this one back at my 30 as well, so I'm going to go ahead and go over 2 blocks up 1 block, so I've got the idea where I'm looking for that one. I'm going to use a ruler because it's a little longer of a line. And that should intersect coming up from this corner. So if I draw that one up, I can darken that in. That's going to be the edge of my object, and this is going to start building the top of my object right here. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and go over 1, 2 blocks, up a block, so that I can get this angle for this top portion here. I can also kind of line it up with some of the lines I already drew on the other side of the ruler. And I can sketch in this 30-degree going back just like that. So if I darken this in, right there is a full-size isometric sketched using the dimensions off of the sheet of paper, darkened in, that way it's actually the correct size. We measured everything for it.